All right, I have a couple of really important videos to make tonight. This is Jeffrey, and 14 years later. Usually I wouldn't speak into the Jews. The Jews are forbidden to me. I wish to keep a distance from them for various reasons, though I have Jewish ancestors. I have Israelite ancestors, Ashkenazi Jews. Just like, I think like three or four or two or four or something. But there's an issue I have to clear up because look, I'm not Moses. I'm like thousands and thousands and thousands of years later, a living organism after Moses, even after Muhammad. There's a YouTuber, I hope he watches my video. His name is The Traveling Clat, I believe, or that's his not his name, his like handle or whatever on YouTube. And he is an Iraqi sort of descended Jew, an Israeli, if I understand correctly. I'm not sure if he's American because he has a sort of American English accent, a USA type of accent. But I saw a video and he's talking to some guys like online on, I don't know, one of those those like video websites where you can like chat with different individuals and you see their screen and they see yours. And he's like making fun of some of the imams, or the process of like mourning of imams in Shia Islam. And I have to like say this, okay? Because the guy obviously will not have been a prophet and a bodybuilder sort of guy, you know what I mean? Nor am I. So the Jews are God's chosen people, but they're still human, and they make many mistakes, like repeatedly, and it's like they're really advanced. Don't get me wrong. I've seen how advanced they are at high levels of education, but they make mistakes which are just like egregious. And it's because partially because since they are God's chosen people, if they make a mistake on a different population, the later generations assist the population the Jews attacked, and the population goes up. So it's sort of like in like law, like torts law, they possibly cause some sort of like panic, intentional infliction of emotional distress, sort of at a population because they want to pay the individual somehow. Like there's no business or like actually some way they can give money and the person won't accept the money and won't beg. So they do something and then they want to give money to the individual. And they're not even consciously necessarily realizing this. It's like possibly subconsciously. But they want to give some of what they have in terms of access to heaven after they live, and to God, to God, and what their situation is on the earth. And they do this purposely in Shem genome as well. So for instance, the Iranians, but there's an issue because Shem genome is incapable, let's say incapable to make up a word, to assist the Jews in many scenarios. For instance, during the Holocaust, like the early 1900s, Shem individuals, we cannot physically have like that much power and that much strength to even go from like the Middle East into Europe too easily. It's like very difficult to do. Okay. And it takes like a long time. Okay. So it's not deification. It isn't deification. If it's misunderstood by some individuals who are Shia, they are wrong. The process isn't deification. It's like St. Paul to a Catholic. St. Paul continues the work of Jesus Christ in Christianity, and he isn't deified. Jesus Christ is deified in Christianity, but incorrectly, okay? But St. Paul, like Paul the Apostle, Saul of Tarsus, he's a human. If we say, oh my God, St. Paul help me, oh no, St. Paul help me, or something of the sort, we're not deifying St. Paul, okay? We're saying it's a two-part process. So in the gospel of Jesus Christ, In the gospel according to Matthew, we have, essentially, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. So Shia Islam accepts the gospel. So they're mourning, when they beat themselves, they're mourning the death of an imam, or like even a human. Okay? So this is part of the acceptance of the gospel. It's in book of Matthew, very clearly, the Sermon on the Mount. Okay? Very obviously. Okay. Now, we don't believe, if we are Shia and if we are correct, many individuals are like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to say this, but they're like dumb. They don't understand. But like, I have a bachelor's degree from a, decent university, pretty good university. And I went to institutions like Harvard Law School, and my great grandfather was a cleric in the Middle East, a Shia cleric. So, okay, I'm not like entirely uneducated. You have to understand, the belief is there is a title, like there is prophethood allowed by God to, say, Muhammad in Islam, or there is prophethood allowed to Moses in Judaism. Okay, now the corresponding book and evidence and everything, like, please give me a break, okay? But we believe there is a title of sorts, a holy title allowed by God to the individual Ali and to his, to exact descendants of him in relation to the daughter of the prophet and messenger of God, the last prophet of Islam, Muhammad. Because Muhammad's daughter marries Ali, and is through this line, which we have the 12 Imams. Okay, so but we're talking about Ali, for instance, okay? When you start making fun of St. Paul, or you start making fun of St. George, there are humans who aren't as kind as me. And please, the Jews, please, you are forbidden to me. Please stay away from me. I ask you kindly, do not enter the state I'm in as you have in the past. Okay, but you're welcome to respond. You're welcome to talk. You're welcome to think. Okay, there are individuals who are evil compared to who I am, who take you as being, okay, so you're the God's chosen people. You're a small percentage of the human population, okay? So every human all won't be allowed into Judaism. It's not like all will have been the Jews. Okay, so we are also allowed of God's religions, which I'm sure you understand, but if you make fun of, if I'm like, look those idiots, they're celebrating St. Paul or St. George, or I haven't memorized too many saint names, but I have an additional saint name, I just don't want to bring it up. So look at those idiots, they're so dumb. Okay, guy, there are evil humans. Please, you're of the Jews. Please have the mind to understand this. I understand there's entertainment, but still, eventually there are humans who pick up on what you're doing, and things like pogroms and the Holocaust in Europe, and you're like, well, we have nuclear weapons and weapons now. Nuclear weapons are at the moment very strong. Humans eventually will figure out what to do and how to respond to nuclear weapons. It's another type of weapon. They become obsolete. In 4,000 years, if humans have not figured out how to make nuclear weapons obsolete compared to earlier, like a bow and arrow is essentially what a nuclear weapon is. You can still use a bow and arrow now to kill a human, but it's sort of obsolete compared to an assault rifle. You know what I mean? And a horse is different in terms of use, in terms of riding a horse, than an armored Humvee. Okay, those earlier weapons, imagine using a bow and arrow to all you can do is try to destroy a tire of a tank, not a tank, of a Humvee, and you can't do anything to a tank because the weapons continue to update unless humans begin to be wiped out of the earth. Okay, in 4,000 years, the weapons you have will have become obsolete. And in 4,000 years, the Jews still won't have been 50% of the human population. Okay, so think about this. You're insulting what humans have access to of God's religions, okay? And if the individual is accurately understanding, in Islam, you may only worship God. Okay? What is then Muhammad? Muhammad is the final prophet of Islam, and he is a messenger of God. There's no connection of Ali, for instance, to being a prophet. All won't have been accurate to say Ali is a prophet. We are saying we have a belief, we think there is evidence that Ali and certain individuals descended of Ali and his wife through her father Muhammad, who was prophet and messenger. And these are all humans, 100% human, as I am 100% human. We have certain evidence that Ali had a title given by God, and it's likely related to when he accepted to die, to be dead. He accepted his death to allow a prophet and a messenger of God, the last prophet and the last prophet of God, his cousin Muhammad in Islam is what I mean, to escape. Okay? If I start doing a song and a dance because like the Holocaust was like so great, if I start like snapping, I can't snap, and like dancing and everything, what am I when humans begin to, like, I'm disproportionately Shem genome on my father's side, so like Middle Eastern disproportionately, and my mother's side, I am like, they're Middle Eastern Dravidian ancestrally. Okay, what am I gonna be when I'm gonna be guilty? I won't have been sinless, okay? When they start bombing the Middle East nonstop, which they have, but like if they also start bombing into South Asia nonstop, okay? So my point is, I understand entertainment, I understand what you're doing. Please at least leave like some evidence, like a video in which you aren't being, when you're attacking Iranians, for instance, when you want to kill, even though there's thou shalt not kill in the 10 Commandments by God, and you are God's chosen people, you are an individual of God's chosen people. Okay, please make a video with the disclaimer, you aren't intentionally making fun of, for example, saints in Catholicism and thinking that like only the Catholics will have a problem with this. And for example, Buddhists won't get revenge on you, or the Hindu won't get revenge on you, or Muslims won't get revenge for what you're doing. Okay, I understand what you're doing is a mistake, and I understand the process sort of, as I explained with the example of like law and like intentional infliction of emotional distress to give in later generations, because the person doesn't have like a business or actually won't accept the money or whatever. But your misunderstanding in the brain, this is a human we believe has a religious title from God, allowed of God. Okay? Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.